But then also, I coming up in the '70s, as a kid in the '70s, I saw Harlem ravaged by the heroin era, right? That was late '60s, early '70s is when heroin kinda transformed what Harlem used to be for our parents. And then in the '80s, I was a teenager in the '80s and, the crack era came, right? So I saw what that did to Harlem, right? And the killings and the guys with the cars. When I got into real estate, Imma get back to the question, but one of the things that disappointed me, there was a lot of young men who were making a lot of money in these streets. And I met this guy, right? Let's call him an OG. And I said, "Hey, man," he knew I was in real estate, and we got to start a relationship. And I said, "Hey, man, these guys always buying cars, have all this money. I always hear stories about these guys walking into car dealerships and dropping $50,000 and walking out with cars." I said, "Man, I can show these guys how to get apartment buildings." And then, back then you could buy an apartment building in the Bronx 3 times the rent roll, $170,000. Apartment buildings were less than $200,000. I was like, "Man, I'll show them." I actually had an attorney lined up. I had the attorney lined up, right? And he knew what these folks did, but he was like, "Don't worry about it. I can set them up."